Hey guys, welcome in, welcome in. It's good to be back. Um, it's been a long time. It's been a while since I've been here. A lot going on over the past 6 weeks. To be honest, it's been pretty rough. To be honest with you, but it just is par for the course. Is life, I guess, right? Um, Let me go ahead and just share this stream out a little bit here, guys, before we get started. If you don't mind, to go in and find it. I hope everyone is doing well. I will fill you in on everything in just a moment. Okay, so let's go in here. And then we'll share. Link, there we go. Get it into Facebook. For some reason, our Facebook links haven't been working as good as they should be. So I'm going to have to go into StreamYard and check that out. But as you can see, Amber is not with us today. You all know that she did have surgery. So she is at home recovering from that. We had hoped maybe she could make it, but unfortunately, that was not the case. So she had a big day today. So she had to go to the doctors and get some things done. So she's just getting some much needed rest. As far as I go, I have been, again, like I said, having a little go of it, but still very blessed in my life, that's for sure. But in March, toward the beginning of March, and a lot of you probably know this if you follow my videos, I lost my beloved grandma. She was the light of my life. She's a lady who I pretty much got my love of makeup and jewelry and all that stuff from. So that was a time. It was a little rough. So that, and then about 2 weeks after that, hi Zach, welcome in, honey. I'm just updating everyone since I've been gone for a while. And then after that, about 2 weeks or so, we lost our beloved Kaylee. So that's been really, really hard. So she was 15 and a half. She had a wonderful life. She was my best friend. So she was a good dog. And then last week when I couldn't be on, I think it was last week, I got sick. Come to find out it's COVID. So so things just kind of just keep going great. So this is life though. So very blessed. We still have our beautiful Arwen here. She is a wonderful dog and lots of blessings in our lives nonetheless. So that's the update on me. So let's get down to business here. Today I'm going to be making a leather bracelet that has fire polish wrapped onto it. And the way that you wrap the fire polish on is different than just taking the wire to the leather and doing it. It's a little technique that I learned quite a few years ago, and I can't believe I've never shared it yet. So I hope you guys are excited about that. Lots of different techniques I'm going to be teaching you today, and we're going to be using, if you want to get your goodies out, hi Sandy, we're going to be using some 4mm fire polish, but you can also use 3mm. And I have 150 beads on my wire right now. Excuse me. And so I recommend putting that on if, to begin with. You may not end up using all of them, but if you want a nice, full, long piece of beadwork, you may want to use all of them. I'm going to turn the camera down here, guys. If you can, like and share for us. Hi, Terry. Hi, honey. Welcome in. So happy to see everyone. I'm going to turn my camera down, guys, so I can show you exactly what we're going to be doing today. It's actually a really cool project. I'm going to make my screen bigger and then try not to get a funny look on my face. So it will freeze for just a moment, guys. So as I said, Amber was not able to be with us. I think most of you know she did have a surgery. So she is at home resting, just in case those coming in did not hear. Let me turn my lights down so we can get it well lit. And I'm going to have a little bit of a cough during this, guys. Please forgive me. Just fun stuff happening over here. So this is one example. This is one that I made for my mom, and she has a small wrist. So I did a smaller section for her because this bracelet is, I think, 7 long with everything. Yeah. It's 7 inches total. And so I wanted to put a shorter piece on it. So that worked out well that way. Now this is more like, this is, I believe, an 7.5 or an 8. And you can see, yeah, that's what size it is. You can see how much more, how many more beads I do have on this. So you guys can kind of gauge it as to what fullness you want, how big your wrist is. Take that into consideration. And then this is one that I did with 3mm fire polish. So you can see it's a little more dainty. So you may choose to do that. Oh, you've done these before, Terry? Awesome. Yeah, I really enjoy doing these because they do make a big impact. I am going to show you guys how to do the wrapped ends, just in case. Like on this one, I put glue-on ends. You can certainly do that if you have them in your stash. But I'm going to show you how to do the wrapped ends with the piece of fire polish there. I've seen another presenter do them. I was so sure I would never be able to do them. Oh, nice. Yeah, so that's what we're going to work on today, guys. So that. Now I have my window open just a little bit, so if you hear noises, I do apologize. I don't know why this. Oh, I don't want that. I don't know why that was up there. So anyway, we're going to use a 3mm mandrel for this. And then I have my leather that I have, which I do have some of this in the shop. I have braided leather, and I have it in white and brown. If you're in need of braided leather, these are 35-inch pieces. So really long. You can make a ton of bracelets with them. So you have brown or white. This is about 4mm around. It's slightly bigger. So when I didn't have a 4mm mandrel, but you need your mandrel size to pretty much match the size of the leather you're going to be putting it on, because you need to slide the beads onto it. So what I've done here in my mandrel there, and like I said, I have some 26 gauge wire here. Excuse my wire, but I basically still have it on the roll, and I have fed on most of my beads here. And basically you just got to kind of lay that over to the side, because you're going to be working from the front part, and try to get it so it doesn't fall on the floor or knock a bunch of stuff over. That's always helpful. So all I did is I just take my 26 gauge wire and I load up my beads on there, and I just use the end of my wire just like a needle, like if I was seed beading, just picking them up that way. It seems to work the best. So we just pick the rest of these up just like so. Okay. So once you have all of your beads, oh, there's Melissa. Hi, Melissa. Everybody's here. Don't click yourself out. We don't want to do that. Okay, so what we're going to do here, guys, is we have our mandrel, and we're going to take the end of our wire, and I'm going to leave about 3 or 4 inches on the end here, so I have some to play with, and I'm going to loosely wrap this around just to kind of anchor it on here. And then I'm going to wrap it once around. You can see how the wire's going here. And you're going to push up your beads. And that's a big part of this, is just keeping the tension on your beads as you wrap around, because you want that look. Hi, Carmen. Hi, everybody. Keep the pressure on your fire polish as you're, not terrible pressure, but enough that keeps them together, because you're going to wrap around your mandrel, making sure that there's no spaces between your fire polish. Okay, so as I get up here, I see that I need to push some more up, so I'm going to finagle those up there from my wire. And as I go, I'm kind of tightening this, kind of making sure that everything's nice and neat and lined up and no spaces. And we're just going to wrap and keep wrapping. And then we're going to need to feed up some more beads. Now, you could do this with make earrings the same way, guys, and just do a little section like so. And then, put ends on either end of your earring, one to hook your ear wire in and one to put like dangles on. That would be super cute. You could make it into a necklace very easily. You could just like this, you could omit the clasp and then hook those two ends into a chain or anything like that. So we're just going to keep on the pressure on that, and we're going to keep wrapping around. And you can see how beautiful it gets. I mean, you can't go wrong with fire polish anyway, but Melissa, these are actually, let me put this up so everybody knows what we're talking about. These are 4mm fire polish, but as I said, you could, and at the beginning, you may not have been here, honey, you could use 3mm. This is what 3mm looks like, and then this is what your 4mm would look like. So it depends on how big you want it. Right now, I'm using 4mm, but I do have 3mm here. You could certainly do. Okay, so I'm just pushing those up as I'm going. These beautiful beads, I believe, I don't know if she still has them, but I think these were from Jules, one of her kits. And these are some of the most stunning fire polish I've ever seen. If you have not signed up for the Creative Soul box with Jules, do so, guys. Beautiful stuff. And there is always a link. Our link trees are in the description. You can just click there if you want to go over and check it out. But always high quality, beautiful materials in that for sure. Okay. And as we're going, we're just wrapping, keeping tension. And it doesn't have to be perfect as you're going along, guys, because remember, this is wire, so we can kind of adjust it as even after we get it onto the leather. Oh, thank you, Melissa. I think they're beautiful too. I think these bracelets are really, really pretty. And depending on the colors and the sizes you use, you can make them to your taste for sure. Make it your own, like I always say, guys. Make it your own. So here we go. And we're just going to keep doing this, working our way up. You can see I'm taking my thumb and pointer here and just keeping that pressure on those beads as I'm wrapping them. And that is 100% the trick to this, guys. It's just keeping that pressure on those beads. And like I said, this is 26 gauge wire in case you missed it. We will be using some 20 gauge later to wire wrap the ends, because I do want to show you guys how to do that. Because it's a good technique to have. Even if you're not using it on this bracelet, you can do it with leather necklaces or anything to give yourself an end to hook a clasp into. Okay. Okay, let's see how much we have. It looks pretty good. We're going to keep going, though. I think I'm going to make the full length of it. You know me, more is more, right? And these beads are so gorgeous. There we go. Okay. Almost there. And it comes together. These actually come together fairly quick, guys, for the amount of beads that are on here. I don't want to get this tangled into my... And you can see this is a little bit loose here. That's no problem. We can come back and deal with that. This is just getting our basic shape on here. Basic length. Let's see. Actually, I think that might be good. So I think I'm going to wrap those on and then come up. And then I'm going to cut my wire, and I want to make sure I have enough wire. So I'm going to leave myself a good 4 inches there on the end before I snip. And this was about the amount of beads that I had left, guys. But like I said, as you go, gauge it to what size you want it to be on your wrist. If you have a smaller wrist, you probably want to use less. If you have a bigger wrist, maybe more. Okay. So we're going to put this back over here. We wrap this loosely here. So I just kind of want this to be loose because for me, I'm using 4mm leather, and this is my 3mm mandrel. So we want everything to be loose so we can get it onto the leather without too much of a struggle. Okay. So once that, I just wrapped around the end just a little bit there. And this is our little centerpiece that we made. I am going to cut a piece of leather for myself. And again, I do have the leather in the shop, the braided leather, if that's something you're looking for. So we're going to cut, I'm going to do about a 6 1/4, 6 1/2 piece here. Okay, I'm not going to count that in. Let me just measure it one more time. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I cut my piece of leather, and this leather that you're going to be receiving, if you do decide to purchase, is 35 inches, guys. So the sky's the limit on how many you can make. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to take our leather and we're going to slide it through the middle of our beads. First, I'm going through that wire, and then I'm just going to, as I'm putting it through, I'm spinning the leather, guys. It just seems like it makes it so much easier to get it through there. And I don't know why, but it does. Yes, always more beads. It can't be lonely. Too small to be featured as a focal. One can never have too many beads, Terry says. So, and like I said, guys, I'm just pushing this down and kind of twisting my leather, pushing my leather in, and see, it's coming out the other side now. So I'm going to take that leather, and I want to put this in a position where it's pretty much centered. And I want this to kind of be snug together. If you want it to be loose, go for it, guys. But I want mine to kind of be nice and snug and tight in the middle. So I kind of want to make sure that I have about the same amount of leather on either side. And all I'm doing is just pushing that up and eyeballing here. So I'm going to wrap this end first. I'm going to take this wire that we already have that we put our leather through, and I'm going to start wrapping it tightly around my leather. Okay. And I'm going to do that 3 or 4 times. Okay. Let's do one more. All right. So we have that side secured. And then I'm going to push our beads up because, like I said, I want it to be. And as I'm doing this, guys, I'm kind of rolling this with my fingers to get everything about the same circumference. I want to make sure all the loops are kind of even and look uniform before I wrap that second end. And you see how I'm just kind of twisting, and it gives it all a nice uniform look. Okay. So I'm going to push this end in now, and I'm going to push my fire polish up that I had there. Make sure everything's snug. Okay. And I'm going to hold this fire polish here with my finger and hold the beads back and snug. And then I'm going to start wrapping this side because that's how I want my beads to look. I want them to be all nice and snug in there and just really, really looking beautiful. I don't really like to see a whole lot of space through mine. So we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side. I'm going to wrap it 3 or 4 times. Okay. And you can see then we're on. Okay. So I'm just going to cut the wire with a pair of flush cutters here. This one wire. And then I'm going to tuck it in with my tweezer pliers just to make sure no one gets stabbed. Make sure. The older I get, the harder it gets to see these ends when you trim them, you know. We're just going to tuck that in so we can make sure that there's nothing there that's stabby. We don't want any stabbies. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. No stabbies. And I'm just going to take my pliers and I'm going to push these wires up a little bit because they kind of got spread out a little bit. So I want those nice and snug and tight and neat looking in there. And so I'm just going to press the end in here. All right. So that's what we have so far, our piece of leather. Again, guys, if you don't want this long of a piece on your bracelet, you know, do it a little shorter. Do it with smaller fire polish, you know. Okay, so now what I want to do, guys, is I want to show you, like I said, on this one, I glued some ends on that. And if you have it at home, go for it, guys. If that's what you want to do, glue your ends on, you know. But on this one, I wire wrapped it. And I'm just going to teach you that technique so you have it in your back pocket in case you want to use it, you know. You never know what kind of leather projects you get into. And it's always nice to have a backup plan with ending a project. So I'm going to take a piece of wire and I'm going to measure out maybe 10 or 12 inches here, guys. And that's going to be more than enough, as I usually do. Okay. And I'm just going to take this 20 gauge wire, and this is German style wire, so it's a little bit more heavy duty than regular aluminum wire or copper wire. Okay, I'm going to leave an end over up top here so we have something to hold on to as we're wrapping, and I'm laying that across my leather, and I'm just going to start wrapping my wire. Now, as you're wrapping this, guys, you need to kind of be pulling on this wire up here and pulling down on the other wire to kind of get that really nice and snug. And you can see how it's kind of indenting the leather a little bit there. We want it to be nice and snug on there because remember, that's what your clasp is going to be hooked to. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I come down maybe 1/4 of an inch or so, 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to continue wrapping my 20 gauge wire around tight and snug. And I'm just laying that down there beside each other, the loops. Okay, you want them to be nice and neat, of course. And we're just going to wrap it down till we get close to the end. All right. And then all I'm going to do here, I have this little bit sticking out here. I found that it's easier instead of trying to wrap clear up to the end of the leather, let yourself just a little bit and snip that leather off flush where you have your wire there. Okay, on our last wrap. It seems to work better for me. I don't know. So I'm going to straighten our wire out. I'm just going to bend it so it is vertical. Okay. Just like so. And then I'm going to take a bigger piece of fire polish, but you can put whatever kind of bead that you want on the ends, whatever size, whatever kind. And I don't know if I want to do something that big. If I want to do a smaller or something even bigger. Well, let's just audition a couple. How about that? So that's with, I bet that's probably about an 8mm fire polish there. And we're going to have to see if that one will work. And that's about a 6. So probably the 6. So the next step before we put our beads on, our fire polish on the ends, we're going to take this wire and we're going to go up maybe about 1/8 of an inch, and we're going to bend it horizontal. So we did vertical, now horizontal. Then we're going to go to the center of the end. So halfway between the to go into the center of the end of the piece. Okay, if you understand, I can't think of a better way to explain it, but basically then you're just going to bend your wire vertical again. So what we did is we bent it vertical, laid it across the middle laid it across the end, and then went to the middle and made it vertical again. So it's centered on that end. Okay, I hope that makes sense to everyone. So, and then I'm just going to take one of my fire polish and I'm going to put that on. Okay. So you can see how that sits centered on the end. And then we're just going to do a wrap loop on this end. So we're going to take our tweezer pliers and bend horizontally. And let me grab my round nose. Can't believe I left those over there. Hold on one second, guys. I thought I had everything. But, take our round nose pliers and go in and do an up and over with our wire. Make our pliers then horizontal. And we have our loop there, and you can kind of adjust your loop however close you want it to be to the end. Okay. And good. I'm glad it's making sense, Melissa. And then once you get your loop on the end, you want to take your chain nose pliers or your tweezers, whatever. And now you're going to wrap down like you would your wrap loop, and then go over top of your fire polish, just cross it over, just like so, because this is going to give us our reinforcement whenever we put our clasp on. This is connecting everything to the bottom, and that's what we need to do. Okay, so once I cross that over, I'm going to take that wire down and I'm going to wrap that. And you can see I kind of changed to my fingers. It just makes it easier for me personally, but you do you. And once you get that hooked on there, you're just going to wrap down some more, just securing down over top of the other wires. Okay. So I'm going to do a couple more wraps here, and then we're going to trim that. Then I'll show you one more time on the other side. Just like that. Trimming and pushing and hiding and squishing. There we go. So that's one end done for us, guys. Okay, so now, again, we're going to take, and you can see, actually, I didn't have that much wire left. So we're going to take another 10 or 12 inch piece here. I think let me measure it here, guys, so you know for sure. Make life a little easier for you. I guess I did about 12. And I'm going to cut that off. Like I said, this is German wire. And we're going to start on the other end. So now I'm looking at my bracelet and I think, well, that's about how far I started in. And you want to give yourself just a little bit more than that, than this space here, because you know you trimmed off a little piece on the end. So we're going to start right about there. I think looks good. And we're going to do the same thing. Lay it across our leather, up and around, and we're pulling down on this wire, pulling up on that wire, kind of indenting it into the leather at that point. And then we're going to continue wrapping our way up, putting each loop side by side. Okay. Just work your way up. And then I usually just gauge kind of by the other side about how much I have widthwise here as to how much I put here. So I think we're good. And I'm going to go ahead in and trim that leather flat. Okay, straighten our wire out there. So then we're going to go horizontal, or excuse me, vertical. All right. And then horizontal across the top of the piece, and then to the center of it, to the end, and bend it up. So it's basically like a little L there now. Okay. And we will put our other piece of fire polish on the end. And I love putting beads on the ends. It just really, I think, makes it pop. And then take our round nose, or excuse me, our tweezer pliers. And then we're going to make a vertical or a horizontal bend. Boy, I'm kind of back and forth on that today. And then our round nose pliers and up and over. Lay our pliers then horizontal. Adjust our loop to where we want it. Okay, I don't know. It's trying to show everything in the back, but there you go, guys. And then take our chain nose pliers. And wrap down and across our fire polish, and then linking in to the bottom here and doing multiple wraps. That's why you want to make sure you're using like a 20 gauge or an 18 gauge wire to do this, guys, because you want this to be nice and strong. You could never use this thin 26 gauge because it would just all pull apart like an accordion. And you do not want that for sure if you're putting the time in to make your piece. So I'm going to go ahead and before I finish wrapping here, I'm going to push this down just a little bit. And I'm going to wrap down a couple more times just to make sure we're nice and secure. And then we'll cut our ends and push those in. Have everything looking nice and neat and finished. And there we go. So the clasps that I usually use like magnetic clasps, just like this one, and put it on the bracelet. So I'm going to let me grab one of those, and I have my jump rings here. I don't know about you guys, but these rhinestone magnetic clasps, I just adore. I think they're so pretty. So we'll just take one of those and a couple small jump rings. Make a larger jump ring for one and make a hook for the other. Definitely. Great idea. Love this. Terry says, let's see, Terry says, I love this. I always feel like I should buy clasps or connectors. Then I remember I can make clasps and connectors. Absolutely. And here's how Terry is explaining that. Make a larger jump ring on the end and make a hook on the other. Simple as that, guys. So if you're going to be using your wire anyway, go for it. Make yourself a little clasp. If you want to do that, that would be awesome. So let me get my jump rings here. And my little clasp. And always, guys, put a safety chain on when you're using magnetic clasps. I can't stress that enough, especially if you don't really think, if you think they're not quite as strong as they should be, you absolutely need to. But I say always put a safety chain on. That's what I did on this one, and this is an aluminum chain. And thanks to my dad, he is the one who told me that aluminum doesn't stick to magnets. So I purchased a bunch of aluminum chain, and I use that for my safety chain on my pieces with magnetic clasps. So works out well, and it doesn't stick to your magnet. And it's kind of annoying when it does that. But I got big hair there. And let's hook our other end. Oh, and Terry says, though a bedazzled magnetic clasp is never out of fashion. So pretty. Absolutely, girl. And you know me with the bling. Always. So there we go, guys. Our finished bracelet. Look at the bling on that baby. So as I said, guys, let's go over one more time. You can use your mandrel, and this is a 3mm mandrel. You always want to make sure that your mandrel and your leather are approximately the same size. Like for me, my leather was a 4mm, so I kind of let everything a little bit more loosey-goosey on here. But if you get a 3mm leather, use your 3mm mandrel. It'll be perfect. And then, like I said, the braided leather is in my shop, and I think that's it, guys. You can use 4mm or 3mm fire polish. Oh, Robin says, I love sparkles. And Terry says, I really love the use of the crystals. The edges can be sharp, so the wire is perfect for stringing. Yes, definitely. You guys are so smart, I'll tell you. And Zach says, yes, I lost 2 bracelets. They latched on other things, so I need to remember safety chain. Yes. And like I said, thanks to my dad, Roy, he's the best. Use aluminum chain with your magnetic clasps, and it'll not stick for you. So as I said, guys, here's an example. Here's your 3mm, and here's your 4mm. And like I said on this one earlier, this one I made for my mom, and she has a very small wrist, so I did a much shorter section for her on hers. Okay, so let me get our camera turned around. Oh, thank you, Robin. You're so sweet. Thank you. This is kind of be a quick one today, guys. I'm gonna go rest when we're done here because COVID has done me in here. But I did, let me get my lights up here. I did want to come on and spend some time with you guys today and show you that little technique. I've always made those, and I can't believe I haven't shared it yet with you guys. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to show my girls this. They really need to, check this out. But good. I'm glad you guys really enjoyed that project. As always, if you do make, try it out. Do put your own spin on it. Post it in our Queen Beaters group, Queen Beaters group on Facebook. And we would love to see and share your makes that you have been inspired with. And as always, guys, the Queen Beater Facebook group is linked in our Linktrees, so you can just head over there to my Linktree. You can go right to the Queen Beater group. Everything else is there at your fingertips. Aw, I'm too busy collecting beads. Terry says she doesn't make anything. She's too busy collecting beads. Girl, you don't even know the amount of beads I have. It's insane. I'm busting out of my room. I remember when my husband made my studio for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to fill this up. And I had all these empty spots on my shelves, and it was just perfection, And now I'm like, oh my God, I'm busting out of this room. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So girls and guys, if you're out there, thank you. Talk about hoarding, Robinson. Yeah. I think we all, not only are we jewelry makers, we're bead hoarders, we're bead collectors also. And I know I have a friend that's that way. She doesn't make a whole lot of jewelry. She likes to do it now and then, but she collects beads like nobody's business. So, oh, great. Sandy says she's making polymer clay beads now. Such fun. Oh, Sandy, please share in the group. I'd love to see them. Bead collectors, yes, Melissa says. Okay, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.